Crown Jewel is this weekend, and we're here to answer all of its biggest questions. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We're the cousins of the Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some wrestling, huh?
Yeah, Crown Jewel, just a few days away at this point, and honestly, they've done a really good job with this card. I'm actually excited about it. Some Crown Jewels, they're not really that exciting, right? You're like, this is just like a house show that I don't need to watch. I don't think that's the case with this one.
Yeah, the the card by itself looks absolutely spectacular, and the stories around a lot of the matches right now are absolutely cooking, especially after that episode of Raw, which was really, really good. The more I think about it, go watch our review. And be sure to stop by our live stream for Crown Jewel, which will be happening bright and early this morning. But let's get into this thing, because we do have a lot to talk about here. Monday Night Raw happened, and we got ourselves a brand new match. It was Roman Reigns accepting the confrontation from Paul Heyman, saying that he's going to have to face Bronson Reed in a Australian street fight in Australia. Don't know what that means. I'm expecting kangaroos and koalas. It has to be a thing in the match. He must throw a koala at Roman Reigns. That's the only way it could be a street fight. But we have a lot to talk about here, because one of the bigger questions is Jey Uso's involvement in this whole thing. Roman Reigns, he's talking to Jey Uso. He's kind of calling out Jimmy for knowing that Jimmy's been talking that smack. Is Jey Uso going to be involved in this match? Will he even maybe cost or get Roman Reigns the victory or loss?
Yeah, I think actually both Usos. I think Jimmy and Jey end up making an appearance. I think you have Jey running out there in terms of maybe trying to help Roman, because Roman has kind of had his back and he is kind of the mentor for Jey. I also think you have Jimmy. I think Jimmy plays a really key role here, maybe more so even than Jey. I think Jey maybe helps. Jimmy maybe is not sure kind of what to do, seems a little hesitant on what to do. And I think honestly, Jimmy maybe tries to help or maybe just turns his back on it. I think we get more developments into the Jimmy character as well. I think it's important that while Jey is continuing to progress and become this next tribal chief, we can't forget about Jimmy. And I think Jimmy's going to play a bigger role than maybe some people think here.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think that we both said that we think Roman Reigns should lose this match. He already beat Bronson Reed once. It feels like, home turf, and get Bronson Reed the win here with all the shenanigans in the world. I feel like this would be a really good place to do that part when it comes to Jimmy. Maybe even the full turn of like Roman and Jey kind of leaving Jimmy in the dust type deal. Maybe Jey comes out to kind of get Roman the win, but Jimmy, also comes out. One thing leads to another, and the Jimmy Jey shenanigans leads to Roman Reigns taking the loss here. And, Jey and Roman obviously are on the same page right now, so they're going to point to one man and one man only after something like that were to happen, which would be Jimmy Uso. And then we can maybe walk away from Crown Jewel with the story being Roman with his new protege, Jey Uso, kind of leaving the other Uso behind, kind of splitting up the bloodline once again in that kind of respect, right? So I think that'd be a really interesting way to go about this thing.
Yeah, this one's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. I mean, I think you have some sort of situation where maybe they set it up to where maybe even Jimmy tries to like Roman's looking for help, right? And maybe Jimmy tries to step up and help. And then Jey pushes Jimmy aside. Like, no, I got this. I'm the one to help. He's asking me. I'm the tribal chief. This is, my cousin sort of thing. And then maybe Jimmy at that point just ends up getting fed up. And then maybe Jimmy just walks away.
Yeah, that's true. Because that would lead right off of what happened at Raw. Because when the match got announced, he came to the back and Jay's like, no, I got you. Like, I got you. I'll be the one to back you up. So could definitely see that one happening. Because this match got announced, late, a week before Crown Jewel, we never really gave our full predictions here. But I think we're both in the agreement here. This needs to be a must-win situation for Bronson Reed. We've already talked about how we think that the kind of the bloodline stuff can lead to a Bronson Reed win, but kind of no matter what, whether it's the Vision getting involved, whether it's Jey, Jimmy, Bronson Reed should walk away with the victory here, right?
Yeah, I think there's potential for, really kind of almost everybody to get involved in terms of a Braun Breaker, in terms of Jey Uso, in terms of a Jimmy Uso. The story, though, coming out of this is the dysfunction of Roman, Jey, Jimmy. What happens? What's next for Jey? What's kind of next for Roman? Can Roman really kind of fall in line and maybe support Jey? Like, that's really kind of the story. You don't really have a huge story coming out of this for Bronson Reed, but Bronson Reed needs to win. He did just lose at Clash in Paris, and even though they had the beatdown of Roman Reigns, even though they had to stretcher out Roman Reigns, you got to give him a win eventually. With him and Braun Breaker, I get it. I understand, like, hey, there's post-match beatdowns. They look strong. Well, at the end of the day, you got to kind of give him a win on paper. So I think this is the perfect chance to do that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm with you. I think he already lost to him. We already did the post-match beatdown, so it wouldn't be interesting at all for Roman to just pin him, and that's that once again. But it also is one of those things where the Roman Reigns storyline kind of needs the loss in this, in my opinion. Like, we need whatever is next for Roman and the Jay thing, or Roman period, to be how does he deal with whatever causes him to lose this match against Bronson Reed, whether it be the Jey Uso stuff or whether it be the Vision overall. So you can either lead Roman Reigns back to the Seth Rollins path via the Vision getting involved, or you can pivot him to whatever we're going to do with the Jey Uso path with whatever the hell the Usos happen to get involved with. So that's why Bronson should walk away with the win, because Roman needs those stories to be told with a loss.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, too, like, I don't know, maybe it's something that I didn't really think of, but Roman Reigns has been really supportive of Jey Uso in terms of, hey, go get yours, go get yours, go get yours. But like at some point when Jey continues to kind of keep getting his and getting his and getting his, and he kind of maybe is almost equal to Roman Reigns as tribal chief, does Roman just accept that?
Yeah.
Or does Roman at the end of the day be like, hey, like you've leveled up, but I'm still levels above you? I think that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, eventually he's going to be able to look him in the eye. Yeah, for sure. Another interesting match here with no title stipulations or anything. It is the team of Rhea, Ripley, and Io Sky. They're taking on the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka, Kairi, Sane. Obviously, the Kabuki Warriors stand tall in the go-home episode of Raw, with most of the story being told through the lens of Io and Asuka, or just at next with each other. Interesting part of this storyline, though, is Kairi Sane. So far, her allegiance has kind of been to herself and wanting the family to be put back together. At Crown Jewel, do we think, though, that she establishes herself with Asuka? She's kind of the nail in the coffin in the Io family storyline. She's the one that puts Io Sky away.
Yeah, I think so. Now, when we did our predictions originally, I had predicted the Kabuki Warriors to get the win here. Well, they've stood tall, I think, the last 3 weeks on Raw, so it's really kind of hard for me to kind of stand by that, being like, yeah, they're going to get the win here. But yeah, the whole thing is, I mean, Kairi has been the one that's been like the sacrificial lamb, I guess, and for, better terms. Asuka's like, oh, well, Kairi can do that. Kairi can do that. Kairi can do that. She hides behind Kairi a lot, right? Well, I think we finally get that Kairi really kind of asserting herself as like, hey, I'm siding with Asuka. She is kind of her own person in terms of like, yeah, she might be on her side, but you have to take her seriously. You can't just kind of overlook her in terms of, hey, it's just a stepping stone to get to Asuka. I think maybe Kairi Sane comes out more aggressive. I think she ends up being kind of emphatic on how she treats Io. And I think that's really kind of what this story needs here.
Yeah, I think that the most interesting way to get the Kabuki Warriors to win here would be for Io's empathetic part of herself for Kairi to be the death of her. Like, the Rhea stuff is going to happen throughout the match. We may get some Io Rhea, will they, won't they as well? Because maybe Rhea steps in the way or goes too far against the Kabuki Warriors, and Io, the family part, gets brought up there. But I really think that toward the end of this match, there's going to be a moment where Io does feel empathetic toward Kairi and maybe wants to at least amend that bridge with her and Kairi, and then Kyrie's the one that pulls out the knife, stabs her in the back, and that's how we get to work here. I think that'd be absolutely terrific to see a heel Kairi Sane character going up against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley after this. I think that'd be awesome as well. So I do think Kairi Sane is going to be the one that puts the nail in the coffin for the team of Io and Rhea this weekend.
So you think Kabuki Warriors are winning this one?
Yeah, I'm
switching.
I'm going to stick to my prediction because I'm a man of my word.
I guess you could still technically do that and still have Rhea and Io.
Rhea just runs in.
Yeah, I mean,
Riptide.
I mean, technically that could happen. It's just really hard for me to see I think the story still calls for the Kabuki Warriors to win, but it is one of those things that they've stood tall so much, so often lately that it's like, do they keep doing that? You know? I think that's really the kind of the hard question here, because I'm like, yeah, the story needs that. The Rhea and Io, they don't come out looking any stronger, or honestly, they don't really need the win right now.
No, they don't.
But it's like, just
hometown
time again, you're like, well, I can't keep doing this.
I didn't want to kind of bring this story arc of it up, but I've been seeing it a lot in our comments on everything. Thank you guys for commenting. Please comment on this video as well. But in our YouTube comments and our TikTok comments, etc., some people have brought up the idea of Io turning on Rhea Ripley in the match and aligning herself back with the Kabuki Warriors. Io Sky turning heel. I don't particularly think it's going to happen, but is there any chance that it could?
Yeah, I saw that a lot, and honestly, my interest is kind of like, okay, one of those things. I don't think it's going to happen. I really kind of enjoy Io Sky. I enjoy this babyface run that she's had, And at the end of the day, you're like, well, can she really just turn heel and then she kind of falls in line with Asuka, right? I feel like that would be kind of some holes in the story, and you'd have to do a lot more explaining and everything like that. So I don't really see it happening, but it is an interesting thought to say the least.
It's an interesting thought. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it should happen either, because I think Io's finally found her stride as a face. Like, I think she really gets it right now. Like, she's fully her like best face that she's been in a long time. And then like, we're just now getting the Asuka leadership heel, big time heel Asuka once again, which that feels awesome. And it still feels pretty new. And it's like, okay, how can she build on this character even more? So I'd rather just fully buy into the heel Asuka character than attach Io to it and then figure out how to do like the Io heel stuff with the Asuka heel stuff, and I guess with the Kairi heel stuff. So I would just keep Io face and let Asuka and them do the heel work.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if she does end up turning heel, then I guess Rhea Ripley's just on her own again. Like,
yeah,
she's had the friendship with Rhea for so long, right? And then she's like, oh, well, there that goes. Like, that would be.
And then she's going to have to stack them all.
Yeah. The
gotta stack them all.
1-on-3 handicap.
With an arm tied behind her back.
Exactly.
Might be fair there. Exactly. John Cena and AJ Styles, no build-up necessary, as AJ put it on Monday Night Raw. He said that their match is going to kick ass anyways, which I have absolute full confidence in. When it comes to the Cena AJ Styles match, I guess there's only really one question other than who wins. Are we going to get any craziness? Are we going to get any runouts to determine kind of what's next for the Cena storyline?
Yeah, you kind of look at this match. This is one of two matches for me on the card that I think has to have zero shenanigans. Now, I guess the tag match technically too, but I think there's going to be so much drama that you could classify that maybe as shenanigans. But in terms of this match, I want none of it. I just want a John Cena, AJ Styles, WWE GOAT versus TNA GOAT, the face that runs the place versus the last real champion. That's what I want. I want a 5-star match. We don't get many more of these. So go ahead, give me that. Give me 20 minutes. I don't really care. But we need no run-ins. We need no interference. We need no ref shenanigans, no ref bumps, no nothing. I just want a clear winner at the end of the day.
100% agree. We don't need to utilize this for any story purposes. If Brock Lesnar walks out there, I'm going to punch my screen. That's simple as that. But we don't need any build up for this match. We don't need any craziness in the match. We just need John Cena and AJ Styles to go out there and perform like we know they're going to perform. And that said, like, that's kind of how I kind of want John Cena saying to go from here on out, because even as we're recording today, he posted a picture of The Miz randomly on his Instagram, and it's like, yep, do that next, bro. Hell yeah. I'd love for you to rekindle a little rivalry between you and The Miz for a Monday Night Raw match. Like, I'm at the point where we got 5 dates left. We don't need big builds, man. Just give us some dream matches. Let us have fun in those matches and get us a winner and get out of there. That's all I need.
Yeah, it's really one of those things that, like, we're never going to see it again, so let's just see it while we can. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't need anything else. I don't need him coming out on Raws and cutting promos and being like, oh, well, at Survivor Series, I'm going to do this. Now, how about you just come out and you talk, somebody interrupts you or something, like The Miz, and then, all right, let's go one more time.
Yeah. Oh, I already can't wait for the Miz interaction.
I mean,
it's going to be amazing. Tiffany Stratton, Stephanie Vaquer for the Crown Jewel Women's Championship, the most prestigious title in all of sports and entertainment. Some would not say.
You're not just saying it. Other people are saying it.
Other people. That cricket over there is saying it. Chirp, chirp. There's not many questions involved with this. They didn't give us a big story, right? I would say this is the one match on the card that kind of failed in that aspect. And you're going to go, well, John Cena and AJ Styles have no story. They have years of past that we can just say, okay, piggyback off that. This one doesn't really have anything here. So the only question here is kind of, who do you think needs this win, and what does a win do for them?
Yeah, this is kind of a tough question. I talked about the John Cena AJ Styles match being one of the 2 matches that I think there should be no shenanigans. I think this is the other one. I think you need to have a clear cut winner here. And in terms of who needs this win, honestly, you kind of look at it. I know we talked about it once before, but I'm switching it. I'm going Stephanie Vaquer. I think she really kind of needs the win here. It is her first match since she had the title, and it's like, okay, well, if she just comes out there and loses, you're like, well, I was excited. It was a fresh new beginning, and that's just kind of kaput now, you know. It kind of pumps the brakes a little bit here. Tiffany is undefeated, so I could see them honestly doing some sort of thing where they continue to keep that undefeated streak time and time and time again. But at the same time, I think you had a really good point before of that's already kind of set in stone. Tiffany, her title reign, her undefeated streak, that's all kind of set in stone. What more can you really kind of add to Tiffany? I would say probably not a lot. It's set there. But you really have a new, fresh beginning here with Stephanie as champ. So it's like, okay, go ahead and kind of continue to build that with Stephanie.
Yeah, I completely agree. My answer is going to sound like I'm hating on Tiffany, which I'm not. I think Tiffany's amazing. And the point needs to be said that I think she's going to be a 10-time champion, right? Like, this is the first reign of her career, all right? It's been one of the longest reigns in recent memory from a woman. So it's all good, but Stephanie needs this win here. The only thing that Tiffany's title reign needs is to end, unfortunately. Like, we need some switch up on that SmackDown women's division, especially at the top. Tiffany can stay in the title picture, but we need Bianca Belair back getting that title. We need a call up of some sort. We need a shake up of some sort. Stephanie Vaquer needs this win because she can walk back into that loaded Raw women's division and say, I am the champion of champions. I've walked through the door. I've won the championship. I beat the other champion. So who's next? That just sounds a lot better to me. That does a lot more for her character than like Tiffany wins this. The reign continues. Okay, does Nia Jax once again come out on SmackDown the next week? Like what does that do for her, in my opinion?
Yeah, it's one of those things that originally when we did the predictions, like I picked Tiffany. There was really no rhyme or reason other than I think Seth's winning on Raw. I don't know if you have both come from Raw, and that's that. But you look at the storyline and you look at kind of in the future, at least for this, Stephanie needs to get the win.
100% agree. Okay, big time match here. Probably, I'm guessing it's the main event. It's just champion versus champion.
It should be.
Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes for the men's WWE Crown Jewel Championship, the most prestigious title in all of sports and entertainment. This is a big one. I mean, Paul Heyman, we'll start with him kind of because he shocks the world by showing up at WrestlePalooza and he announces Brock Lesnar. Ever since then, every single promo he's been involved in, there has been, a little bit of hints and allusion to that whole thing, the whole Brock Lesnar nonsense, to the point on Monday Night Raw, Seth even pulled him aside and was like, so what happens if I lose? What happens to Paul Heyman and if I lose? And Paul basically just said, I'm going to have to make up my mind if that was the right decision joining you as is. So big question at Crown Jewel is going to be Paul Heyman, and will he kind of decide to not choose Seth Rollins if Seth Rollins either loses or something happens throughout the match where Paul sees some weakness? Will Paul maybe ditch Seth, go back to Brock?
I think there's a potential chance of that happening, but not right now. I think maybe that's a further down the line, maybe a Rumble-ish time, Mania time. Brock has, I guess, one more year. Basically, we all kind of expect him to retire at SummerSlam next year. So maybe that's kind of the route they go. But this right here, like, to me, it wouldn't make any sense. Seth needs the win here. I think Seth's getting the win. So if Seth does get the win, why would Paul Heyman leave? No matter how they get him the win, right? Whether it's a Vision run out, a Seth tells them to go back, but Paul orders them. So maybe there's some sort of dysfunction and you kind of continue to build the animosity between Paul and Seth. Can they really trust each other? Is Paul really in this? Did Seth choose the right people for the Vision? That sort of thing. But I don't think that happens here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that happens here. It may down the line. I say that because I don't think Seth Rollins ever really needed Paul Heyman. He needed Paul Heyman for the moment at WrestleMania. That was huge. That was amazing. That was spectacular. And that moment it happened because of Paul Heyman. That was why it was so great. But Seth Rollins the character just doesn't really need a talking figurehead when he's around. Seth Rollins is so good on the mic as is that whenever they're both in the ring together, it never feels like they really needed each other in that aspect of the whole Vision thing, right? Brock Lesnar, on the other hand, that man always needs somebody else to talk to him. He's never been good at it, especially if we only have one more year of it. Maybe down the line somewhere you do get Seth Rollins being like, you know what, I can't trust you anymore, Paul. You're too back and forth with this whole Brock Lesnar thing. Go be with him or something like that, or maybe another big betrayal. But no, I don't foresee this happening at Crown Jewel.
No, I think it would be way too early.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the moment, like you said, the moment of WrestleMania was so huge. For to turn around and just 6 months later, you're like, well, actually, just kidding. It doesn't really matter. That just doesn't make any sense.
Plug pulled. We're going to stick on Brock. People are going to be so happy that we're talking about Brock Lesnar so much, right? But as we just said, Brock Lesnar has been brought up a lot since the WrestlePalooza thing, since Paul Heyman showed up. Is there any way that Brock shows up at Crown Jewel and does help Seth Rollins get that win? Maybe even joins the Vision?
Well, I think there's probably more of a chance than I would probably like to give it. I would say that you look at it in terms of, like I just said, the Vision. Can they trust the Vision? Well, maybe Seth ends up kicking the Vision, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker. Maybe he sends them to the back. Maybe Paul tries to call him out. Maybe something like that. But we talked a little bit about it in the predictions. Like maybe Seth Rollins brings a new member in. Well, maybe Paul brings a new member in, I think is maybe a big question too, a big possibility. And it could be Brock Lesnar. I mean, all of this Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman stuff in terms of Seth Rollins, who calls the shots, like they're doing it for a reason. So I could very well see Brock Lesnar coming out, ending up destroying Cody Rhodes, and Seth kind of being like, okay, I'll take the win. But Paul, what was that? I told you I need to do it by myself, and you just went ahead and you are acting like you call the shots. I call the shots, Paul. And then it ends up turning into a Brock Lesnar joins the Vision probably for a Survivor Series. I think there's a couple members. Obviously, you got 3 Vision members. Well, you need 2 more. There's one right there.
Exactly. And that's why I think that we probably are going to actually do this, as much as people don't want to see Brock right now again, especially in another main event. But I just think that War Games is right down the corner, and Brock is easily going to be in that match given what's happening with the Paul Heyman stuff. I think that him getting the win is going to be just another way that Paul asserts himself over Seth Rollins in a way as the true leader of the Vision, because he can help Seth Rollins get that win. Paul goes, I told you, you did it, man. I knew you would never lose to Cody Rhodes. But then Seth's going to sit there, like you just said, and be like, well, I mean, he helped me out. So is your allegiance to me or is your allegiance to him? What's going on here? So that story can kind of unfold from there. And then, we have our War Games match coming up, and Brock fits in perfectly with Seth and Braun and Bronson.
Yeah, and it even could be a thing where Seth is being so, accusatory of like, how could you do this, Paul? And Paul's just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't do that at all. But obviously, we all know that's not the case.
Exactly. Yeah, he'll probably deny it till he dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cody Rhodes, we don't talk about him a lot during this whole build-up because his story, as I drop my pen, his story isn't that most important or relevant story that's on the TV for this match. I mean, we got the Drew match, and then since then, Drew's been on Fatu. We have got some, a little bit of promos where Paul Heyman shows up and alludes to the idea that Randy Orton and him are butting heads a little bit. Randy does look at that belt every time he's around Cody Rhodes. Is there any chance at Crown Jewel that Randy Orton ends up coming out and screwing over Cody Rhodes?
Well, I would say probably anything is possible. WWE does love their big, shocking, oh my God, can you believe that just happened moments? But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say no on this one. I think this is another thing that probably happens further down the road, not right here. We haven't really got enough of it in terms of like the hints and things like that. Yeah, Randy's looked at the belt. Well, you could also say Jey Uso has looked at the belt. Like there's things like that happening, right? So it seems like they're slowly kind of planting the seeds for it all. The Paul Heyman in terms of Randy Orton, what's going to happen, last week on SmackDown, that seemed kind of out of nowhere. So for me, this would almost seem kind of out of nowhere. You need, I say that, RKO out of nowhere, right? So who really knows? But you look at it, I think it's just too soon. I think we do get that eventually, just not right here.
Yeah, I don't think we should get it right here. I think we should 100% get it, and I think we all understand that one day that is going to happen. The man who's going to take the punt that Randy's been wanting to give out for over 2 years is going to be Cody Rhodes down the line, I would assume. But the thing is, going into Crown Jewel, the main story here has been Seth Rollins and all that stuff. So Randy Orton, even though we alluded to it once or twice in a couple weird Paul Heyman promos, there hasn't been enough headbutting for us to believe that Randy would all of a sudden just be like, yep, today's the day. I'm going to go out there and screw over my good old buddy. So I think that while it may come down the line, maybe during a War Games match or something, it's not going to happen here at Crown Jewel. I think it's too soon.
Yeah, I think if Cody loses and is kind of just upset and sad, like, man, I let everybody down sort of thing. And well, you got Code Man, you got Randy giving, words of advice. You can really kind of get that ball rolling. Like you said, maybe a War Games, that seems like a really good place to do that.
I didn't have this written down, but like, what if Cody wins? I feel like there's no way Cody Rhodes wins this match, and he shouldn't win this match. And if he were to win this match, like, how would that affect my own personal view of the Vision storyline and just all of that? I mean, you'd have to have like Brock show up and attack Seth, which sounds awful. I can't think of a way to do it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance Cody wins this match. And you look at it, I wouldn't take the Vision seriously. I would kind of be out on the Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins experiment, I guess we would call it at that point. And at that point, I'd also look at Cody Rhodes and I'd be like, well, you didn't need to get this win, Cody. Why are we doing this? What does that really lead to? So it's just one of those things that you're like, well, that would suck. Honestly, at the end of the day, that'd be a really bad kind of taste in the mouth at the end of Crown Jewel, because the whole story is the Vision. So it's like, that's what that needs to be. And you can start Cody Rhodes' story after Crown Jewel here in terms of the loss. I let people down. I couldn't go back to back. Maybe Seth Rollins is better than me. He got one over on me, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I know people will rebuttal right away when somebody says, well, the main story is a Vision. People are going to go, well, every freaking main event on Raw and SmackDown on the Vision. But it's like, the big time story beats for this Vision need to happen at the PLEs. Like, these need to be the big moments for the Vision if we want to make sure that this faction remains an interesting, something where I need my eyeballs to be on it every time they come out. Like, the PLEs need to be where you establish those big plot points. And Seth Rollins just losing to Cody Rhodes and now being officially the second best champion on the show on WWE, that would just feel like, well, dud.
Well, yeah, and if Bronson Reed gets a win over Roman Reigns, like we assume that's going to happen, you could really be like, okay, well, yeah, you are the champ, but I'm not that far behind you, in terms of Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins. So yeah, it just kind of has to happen.
Yeah, they walk away with a Bronson Reed win over Roman Reigns and a Seth Rollins win over Cody Rhodes. You kind of go, ooh, okay, y'all are cooking. Y'all are cooking.
Big day for the Vision.
Big day for the Vision, we think. Well, those are our biggest questions answered for Crown Jewel. Let us know in the comments what you think to all these. And if you have some questions of your own, we'd love to reply and talk about it in the comment section. Make sure to stop by our live stream for Crown Jewel this weekend, youtube.com/COD WrestlePod. It'll be a lot of fun. And then for everything else for the podcast, it's at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. We have a link tree in our bio. Take it all of our social media. So we'd love you guys to like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, because we think that you would love our content. And I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. We will see you next time.